I was standing in our driveway when Mr. Henderson handed my mother the papers. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because I'd just gotten home from school. My backpack was still on. My mom read the first page, and her hands started shaking. Then she just stood there, crying. Not loud crying, the quiet kind that's worse. Mr. Henderson didn't look at her. He looked at his shoes. Mrs. Henderson stayed in their car. Our other neighbors were watching from their porches. Nobody said anything. Nobody helped. I was 12 years old. I need to explain how we got there. How the Hendersons went from being our neighbors to the people who took everything. We'd lived in that house my whole life. Small blue house with white shutters. My dad had painted those shutters the summer before he died. I was 7 when that happened. Heart attack. No warning, just gone. After that, it was just me and my mom. She worked 2 jobs, one at the grocery store during the day, another cleaning offices at night. I barely saw her, but we were managing. The house was paid off. Dad had made sure of that before he died. It was the one thing we had. The Hendersons lived next door. They'd been there forever. Mr. Henderson used to give me candy on Halloween. Mrs. Henderson brought us casseroles after Dad died. They seemed nice. Looking back, I don't know if they ever were. The problem started about a year before that Tuesday. Small things at first. Mr. Henderson mentioned that our fence was on his property. Just by a few inches, he said. My mom apologized, said we'd look into it. We didn't have money for a surveyor. He knew that. Then it was the tree. We had this big oak tree in our backyard. Some of the branches hung over into their yard. Mrs. Henderson complained about the leaves, said they were ruining her garden, asked if we could trim it. My mom said yes. We couldn't afford a tree service. I watched her try to do it herself one Saturday with a ladder and handsaw. She almost fell. Mr. Henderson watched from his window, didn't offer to help. Then came the driveway. Part of our driveway apparently crossed onto their property line by maybe 2 feet. Mr. Henderson brought it up at a neighborhood barbecue in front of everyone, said it was a problem, said it was affecting his property value. My mom's face went red. She said we'd handle it. We didn't know how. I remember her crying in the kitchen that night, not because of the driveway, because she was tired, because she was alone, because everything felt like it was too much. A few weeks later, Mr. Henderson came over with papers. He was friendly about it. Too friendly. He said he'd done some research, found some old property records. Turned out there was a discrepancy in her deed, some kind of legal issue from decades ago, before we'd even bought the house. He said it was complicated, said it might mean that part of our property was actually his, maybe more than just the fence line or the driveway, maybe a lot more. My mom didn't understand. I didn't either. We were 12 and exhausted. He said he'd talked to a lawyer, said we should probably get one too. My mom nodded. Where was she going to get money for a lawyer? He kept coming by, kept bringing more papers, more documents. He'd talk fast, use words my mom didn't know. She'd just nod, sign things. I think she thought if she cooperated, it would go away, that he'd realize he was wrong and stop. He didn't stop. The papers he gave her that Tuesday weren't a request. They were a notice, an eviction notice, from our own house. Somehow, through all those documents my mom had signed, through all that legal talk, the Hendersons had gotten ownership of our house. I still don't know exactly how they did it. Some kind of quiet title action, some kind of deed transfer my mom didn't understand she was agreeing to. All I know is that we had 30 days to leave. My mom stood there with those papers, crying, and Mr. Henderson said, "I'm sorry it came to this." But he wasn't sorry. Mrs. Henderson wasn't either. They'd planned this, slowly, carefully. They'd targeted a widow and a kid who didn't know any better. And it worked. We moved into a small apartment across town. 1 bedroom. My mom took the couch. I got the bedroom. She insisted. The apartment was above a laundromat. You could hear the machines running all day, smelled the detergent through the vents. Our furniture barely fit. Most of it we had to sell or leave behind. The Hendersons got it all. They got everything. I started 8th grade at a new school. Nobody knew me. I didn't tell anyone what happened. What was I supposed to say? That our neighbors stole our house? It sounded crazy even to me. My mom got quieter. She was always tired, but this was different. She looked defeated, like something inside her had broken. She still worked both jobs, still came home exhausted, but now she'd just sit on the couch, staring at nothing. I asked her once why she didn't fight it, why she didn't get a lawyer, find help. She looked at me with these empty eyes and said, "Baby, I didn't know. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought if I just cooperated, it would be okay." That's when I realized something. The world doesn't protect people like us. People who are tired, people who are alone, people who trust the wrong people. I went back to our old neighborhood once, about 6 months after we moved. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would feel like closure or something. It didn't. The Hendersons had already painted over my dad's shutters, changed them from white to black. They'd cut down the oak tree, put in a pool where our backyard used to be. It was like we'd never existed. Mrs. Henderson saw me standing on the sidewalk. She was getting her mail. She looked right at me, then she went inside without saying anything. I was 13 then. That's when I decided. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell anyone. I just decided. I was going to become a lawyer. I was going to learn everything they'd used against us, every legal trick, every loophole, every piece of paperwork my mom didn't understand. I was going to learn it all. And then I was going to take it back. High school was a blur. I worked part-time at the same grocery store as my mom, saved every dollar, applied for every scholarship I could find. I got into state university with a full ride, pre-law track. My mom cried when I got the acceptance letter. Happy tears this time. She said my dad would be proud. I didn't tell her the real reason I was going. I didn't tell her about the Hendersons. I visited her every few weeks during college, the apartment above the laundromat. She was still working both jobs, still tired, still broken, but she smiled when I came home, asked about my classes, my life. I never stopped thinking about that house, about Mr. Henderson's face when he handed her those papers, about the neighbors who watched and did nothing. During my second year of law school, my mom got sick. Breast cancer. Stage 3. She had ignored the symptoms for months, couldn't afford to miss work for doctor's appointments. I took a semester off to help her through treatment, drove her a chemo, held her hair when she threw up, watched her fade. She beat it, barely, but the medical bills buried us even deeper. I had to take out loans to finish school. She had to declare bankruptcy. The Hendersons never once checked on her, never asked if we needed anything. They'd lived next to us for years, pretended to care when my dad died. They didn't care. They never had. I graduated law school at 24, passed the bar on my first try, got hired at a small firm that specialized in property law and real estate fraud. Perfect. I waited 2 more years before I made my move. I needed to be ready. Really ready. I spent that time learning everything: property law, deed fraud, quiet title actions, elder abuse statutes, predatory lending, every single angle. I also spent it building my case, quietly. The firm I worked for had access to county records, court documents, historical property data. I pulled everything on our old house, every transfer, every filing, every piece of paper the Hendersons had ever touched. And I found it. The deed transfer my mom had signed, the one she didn't understand, it wasn't legal, not even close. There were multiple issues: improper witnessing, lack of consideration, evidence of coercion, my mom's signature on documents she never should have been asked to sign without independent counsel. The Hendersons had committed fraud. Clear, documented fraud. But that wasn't all I found. Turns out, we weren't the first. The Hendersons had done this before. Different neighborhood, different city, 15 years earlier. An elderly man living alone, same slow takeover, same legal paperwork. They'd taken his house, too. He died 2 years later in a nursing home. No family, no one to fight for him. I found his case buried in old court records. A dismissed lawsuit. He'd tried to fight, couldn't afford to finish. The case died with him. I made copies of everything, built a file 3 inches thick. Then I drove to my mom's apartment. She was 52, still working at the grocery store, still living above the laundromat, still tired. I sat her down at her tiny kitchen table. "Mom," I said, "I need you to trust me." She looked confused, worried. "I'm going to get our house back." Her face went pale. She started shaking her head. No, honey, it's gone. Let it go." "It's not gone. They stole it, and I can prove it." I showed her everything. Every document, every piece of evidence, the prior victim, the fraud, my mom's testimony about what she thought she was signing, expert analysis showing the deed transfer was fraudulent. She cried, different tears than before, not defeated ones. Something else. "What do I have to do?" she asked. "Just sign," I said. "Let me handle the rest." She signed the retainer that night. I took her